Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Mark. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, whether it be a topic, reaction, review, randomness, out of blueness, commentary, could be for pretty much anything, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now in this video, Mark wanted my opinion on a few of his ideas on certain movies and what I thought of it. And okay, this is what he says. Give your take on it or improve with it with some ideas of your own. These are the two ideas. One for Toy Story, another for Rocky. 1. What if the Toy Story trilogy was about Sid instead of Andy? Woody and Buzz fail to escape and become Sid's toys. This one is straightforward. You're reviewing Toy Story where you said Buzz has nothing to do in these movies is something I've always agreed with. Even when I was a young kid, I favored Buzz over Woody. So Buzz Lightyear of Star Command was the only worthwhile thing about the character. I figure if Sid made Buzz into a flying toy, then Buzz would not be against the idea of staying with Sid. Woody, on the other hand, would hate it, but since he's deformed, he can't return to Andy, even if he found him. The whole point of the trilogy being about Sid, in my opinion, is that all kids are different. Even John Lasseter himself said Andy was the weird kid for how he played with his toys in a commentary track. Really? Then why'd you write it that way? If I were to pick an ending for the story, it would be similar to Toy Story 3. Sid gets a job doing some trade work and gives them to a young girl who's creative like he was. Woody learns that it never mattered how he appeared as long as he was making a child happy. I disagree. I disagree entirely on that because Sid is an asshole. And number one, it would be given legitimacy to a kid like Sid who's a complete and utter bully, complete and utter villain. And from the way you described it, it looks like Sid never got his comeuppance, never got his just desserts, and got away with it. Got away with deforming Woody, got away from... That would just be depressing. No matter what. I mean, I get what you're saying, that it never mattered how he appeared, as long as he was making a child happy. But why would you want to make a piece of shit guy like Sid happy? It's like, let's give a reward to a guy who treated people like shit, and let alone toys like shit, and we're going to reward him by not getting a comeuppance. And plus, I mean, Woody would be away from his friends, would be away from all the people that he cared about. That would be even more depressing. He'd be away from, all the characters that we know of Toy Story, which means throughout the Toy Story 2 and 3, we wouldn't see any of those side characters. We wouldn't see any of those, the character voiced by Jim Varney, the Slinky character, or the little army men, and also I think that'd be shallow for Buzz. Hey, he made me into a flying toy, so I'm going to stay with Sid. That would make it shallow because he would look over and say, wait a minute, this guy fucked up Woody, deformed him, and he doesn't think twice about that. I think that'd be very shallow and selfish of Buzz. To be like, well, he made me a flying toy, but wait, Woody, he deformed and he fucked up and he's treating these other toys like shit, but I'm fine because he did something for me. That would just make Buzz a lot more selfish, seemingly an asshole. And also, with Sid being a piece of shit, why would he give his toys to a young girl? He would just probably steal... He'd probably steal the girl. Or steal her toys or something. So, there's no justification throughout this stuff you wrote about Sid becoming a better person or a better kid. It's just like, he would just be the same piece of shit asshole. And... people want to see his comeuppance. People want to see his face caved in, honestly, or something to that effect. So I disagree with that entirely. I would just say with just the stories, have Buzz have a bit more to do. You have it just be a team where it's the two of them going on a journey and they're helping each other out. A lot of times they like separate Woody and Buzz. I would say just keep them together and they're both go on these adventures to save this toy or that toy or that toy or this toy. And at one point maybe Woody is caught and then Buzz has to save the day. Then Buzz is caught and Woody has to save a day. And you go back and forth and just write a bit more for Buzz to do like on that capacity. That would be my take on it, but again, so we agree to disagree on that. Number 2, Mitty alive in Rocky 4. The events of Rocky 3 play out the same, except Mitty survives his heart attack. I believe Rocky wins the rematch even without Mitty's tragic end. How would Rocky 4 be? Could Mitty prevent Apollo from entering the ring? If Apollo dies, would Mitty's training be enough for Rocky to defeat Drago? I know Rocky 4 is your favorite. Would Mitty's presence cheapen the movie? I don't think there's anything you could do with Mitty, honestly. You know, after 2 films, I think the 3rd film, if Mitty doesn't die, then that's what I mean. There's really not much more for Mitty to do. There's really not much more for him to be a part of the franchise, a part of the storyline. Plus, you would not have had the cool story twist of Apollo training Rocky, and that would have negated Apollo's character development. Because that, with Mitty dying, you get a tragic, heartfelt moment. You get a lot more odds and stakes raised up to go up against Clubber Lang. And it also makes you even easier to hate Clubber because he inadvertently led Mitty to that realm. It also gives more of Rocky doubts, being afraid, all that stuff. And if Mitty was alive, why would Rocky even be lost in the first place? He could go back to this father figure, Mitty, and yeah, he's afraid, but he would still have Mitty alive, and he could talk to... And if Mitty was in a coma, then you just redo in Rocky 2, where Adrian was in a coma for a bit after the birth of the baby, so you can't do the coma again. I mean, if you're saying if Apollo should have lived in Rocky 4, I would agree. In retrospect, Apollo Creed should have lived in Rocky 4. They should have killed Apollo in Rocky 4. See, that's the difference I would make. In retrospect, have Apollo get knocked out badly. He cannot fight again. He's in a hospital. He's still alive, but he's in a hospital, and he's in a wheelchair. He's, of course, being, his arrogant, fun self. No, I'm going to see Rocky. No, you can't leave the hospital. No, if I gotta be in a wheelchair, put my ass in the wheelchair. I'm going there. And then have Apollo share some words when, God, what's his name? I always forget his name. Tony is talking to Rocky before the fight. Have that be Apollo. And then maybe end with, now knock his ass out for me. Now go knock his ass out. And like you have Apollo Creed sitting next to Adrian. See, I think that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, Mitty, I don't think he needed to be... I mean, I think in retrospect it makes sense for Mitty to have some of that important happen with how much older the character was, and there was time between Rocky 1 and Rocky 3. It just seemed natural. It seemed understandable to go in that direction. Because again, you give Rocky more heartache, you give him more doubts on himself, you give him less guidance, Now he's with this new guy. Apollo's not new, but a new trainer to him. This is a guy I used to fight and box against. Now he's helping me. So it's not the same as with Mickey, this father figure of mine. Plus, again, you would have lost the cool. Like I said, the character development of Apollo and all those scenes that help make Rocky 3 what it is. Like the bits of Apollo training Rocky in that different way of fighting. That's nothing you would not have gotten. You would not have gotten. And that's the reason why Apollo, one of the reasons is because his manager died. He doesn't have a manager anymore. That leads Apollo even more into, fine, I'm going to train you. Yeah, I guess you could do it if Mickey was in a coma, but again, that, like I said, that coma would just been the same as Adrian's coma in part 2. So I disagree. I don't think Mickey. I hate to say, oh, Mickey didn't need to survive. I think it worked out better story-wise for that. Now again, Apollo Creed and Rocky 4, in retrospect, no, you didn't need to kill him off. You could have gone the kickboxer route. And kickboxer came out after Rocky 4, where at the Jean-Claude Van Damme's kickboxer fights the brother, doesn't kill the brother, but puts him in a wheelchair. Or I hate to say it, even the no holds barred route, where was it Hulk Hogan's brother? He's in a wheelchair, and that would have been after Rocky 4. So Rocky 4 could have done that first, because Rocky 4 is 85. They could have done that first. Apollo in a wheelchair, but at least he'd be alive and he'd be with his family, and in a way that would be fitting because that's the one way he could. There's two ways for him to not fight anymore: die or physically can't do it. It'd be tragic, but at the same time he could be alive, and maybe in the future he'd be regain more strength and he's using canes or whatever it may be. Which that could be also a take on real life boxing, how there could be effects in the future that limit the body and what they can and can't do. But yeah, I do think Mickey's presence would cheapen the movie. Yeah, I would say so. And Mickey didn't really have too much more to train for Rocky himself. He did all the training in Rocky 2 with Mickey. And again, I think in Rocky 4 is more powerful that he's by himself, pretty much. Well, I guess, Tony. And that's the thing, like, Apollo could have told Tony, you take care of it. Listen, you did a pretty decent job with me. Now go help Rock's sorry ass. So no, I don't think Mickey needed to be alive in Rocky 4. I would change it where Apollo Creed should have stayed alive in Rocky 4. And hell, in retrospect, you say Rocky 4 could have been the end of the franchise, and it would have been fine. I like Rocky Balboa. I like that Rocky Balboa quite a bit. But you could make the argument that Rocky 4 could have just been the end. He beats Ivan Drago, the most intimidating opponent he can have. He's the champion of the world. And it ended with that. I don't think people would have complained. Again, I like Rocky Balboa quite a bit, but I don't think people would complain of Rocky 4 if that would have been the actual end. I don't hate Rocky 5 like I used to, especially watching the directors, like the work print cut, I should say. I wish there was a very cleaned up version of that. Someone online said they had a cleaned up version and it wasn't. It was bullshit. But was Rocky 5 needed? No. But again, it fucked the Creed movies. Creed and Creed 2, more like crap and crud. Crud 1 and Crud 2. So, God, that Rocky 4 thing, that director's cut. I'm still thinking of that director's cut, which was bullshit. And when I did the review, people were like, how come you didn't call it a rant? Because I want people. Sometimes I don't do that to see if people actually watch it. Because sometimes people go, man, I'm glad you loved it. I'm like, you didn't watch the video, did you? Like, some people have said that because I did not put rant in the title. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. I'm like, you didn't watch the video, did you? Where I completely trashed it. But you just thought that just rant was in the title. Oh, okay, I did it. See, sometimes I do that from time to time. But I did to see if people actually watch some of these videos. But thanks once again, Mark. I really do appreciate that. I know you have 2 more requests. I will get to them as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye. Fuck Creed and Creed 2. I just want to throw that out there. Later.